Hey guys, welcome in. Today I'm actually going to go over the student loan do-it-yourself discharge through bankruptcy. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and see if I will be able to um, share my screen for a second. Mm. All right, so you guys should now be able to see my screen, and you should be able to see where it says do it yourself student loan discharge through bankruptcy. All right, so this is a step-by-step consumer guide using the federal law and the Department of Education process. Okay, very important disclaimer: this document is for educational purposes only and does not constitute legal advice. Bankruptcy law is federal. However, local court rules apply. You are responsible for verifying procedures, forms, and service requirements with your local U.S. bankruptcy court. All right, so table of contents, which is what we're going to be going over. 1 is the overview, 2 is the legal foundation, 3 is the pre-filing preparation, 4 is the filing of the actual bankruptcy case, and then 5 is the adversary proceedings, which is actually required through the bankruptcy for the discharge of your student loans. 6, the Department of Education review. 7, your court outcomes. 8, post-discharge enforcement. 9, the step-by-step checklist to make sure that you go over everything. And then you have the appendices, which is the templates, okay? All right, so the overview. So student loans are not automatically discharged in bankruptcy. However, under federal law, they can be discharged if repayment would impose an undue hardship on the debtor. So with this, is just simply saying that you have to be able to prove hardship, right? So to discharge student loans, you must file a separate lawsuit inside your bankruptcy case called an adversary proceedings. Okay. If you do not do this process, it will not go the way that you want to go. It will not happen. You have to do this part. You cannot do the bankruptcy, and then you cannot do it without the adversary proceedings, because the adversary proceedings is the actual separate lawsuit that you have to do for the Department of Education and then the your servicer to be part of the actual bankruptcy itself in order for you to get a discharge. So you cannot skip that step. So this guide explains how to file a bankruptcy, how to file an adversary proceedings, how to prove undue hardships, how the Department of Education reviews cases, and how to obtain and enforce a discharge. All right, so 2, legal foundation. So this is governing laws, 11 USC 523A8, which is the student loan dischargeability, 28 USC 1334 157, the bankruptcy jurisdiction, and then federal rules of bankruptcy procedure, which is 7001 and 7004. All right, so undue hardship standard. This is called the Burner test. This is what they will take you through the adversary proceedings, so that you guys will be able to see if you guys will go through hardship or not. It's called the Burner test. So many courts apply the Burner test, require proof of all 3. So you cannot maintain a minimum standard of living if forced to repay. Your hardship is likely to persist. You made good faith efforts to repay. So you have to be able to prove all 3 of these. Okay, you have to be able to approve all 3. The United States Department of Education now supports discharge where these factors are met and may stipulate to relief. So your pre-filing preparation, right? So this is what you need to gather as far as your required documents. You need your student loan statements from all servicers and lenders. You need your studentaid.gov aid summary. You need the last 2 years of your tax returns. You need a proof of income your last 6 months, monthly expense list, medical or disability records, proof of dependence or caregiving responsibilities. Again, this is to prove through the burner test that they're going to take you guys through, all right? So make sure that you don't skip any of these steps. Now, step 2, identity loan types. Log into studentaid.gov and you're going to confirm your direct loans, the FFEL loans, Perkin loans, or the private student loans. Federal and private student loans may both be discharged through bankruptcy. Step 3, you document good faith efforts. Apply for income-driven repayment, requested deferment or forbearance, communicated with loan servicers, attempted other discharge options like the TPD, borrowed defense, and etc. Even unsuccessful attempts help prove good faith. And then step 4, filing the actual bankruptcy case. You can do chapter 7, which is most common for hardships, or you can do chapter 13, which is the repayment plan. Student loan remains unless an adversary proceeding is filed. Please do not forget this step, because this step is very, very important. You cannot get your student loans discharged without doing the adversary proceedings, which is the additional lawsuit for the Department of Student Loans. Step 5, file bankruptcy petition. So you're going to file with your local U.S. bankruptcy court. You're going to do a voluntary petition, schedules A through J, statement of financial affairs, means test, which is for chapter 7, and then pay filing fee or request for a fee waiver. And of course, we want to request for a fee waiver because we are already trying to prove that we would be still in hardships or in a place where we're struggling, even trying to, just trying to prove to them that, we are still going to be in hardships and we need some help paying for this. Okay. Hardships, it's time. Adversary proceedings 5. This is actually required. This is the step that I'm telling you guys, do not forget to do, because there's no point of you actually going to file the actual bankruptcy and then you don't do the additional lawsuit for the Department of Student Loans and with the servicer. So what is the adversary proceeding? An adversary proceeding is a lawsuit filed with your bankruptcy case. It is mandatory to discharge student loans. Without it, student loans will not be discharged, even if your bankruptcy is complete. So again, y'all, even though you're going to go down to your courts and you're going to file for your bankruptcy, you have to actually file a separate lawsuit with the student loans to include with the bankruptcy. It's just an extra step that you have to take. When do you file it, right? After your bankruptcy case is filed, before your case is closed. There is no automatically deadline, but delays can hurt your case. Who must be named as defendants? So the defendants will be the U.S. Department of Education, your loan servicer, which is NailNet, Mahila, Avantage, whoever those services are, and then your private lenders, whoever they are. And then step 6, you're going to file the adversary proceedings. You must file the adversary proceedings cover sheet, a complaint to determine your dischargeability, and then the supporting exhibits. Now here it shows you, I have an example of what it should look like as far as the adversary proceedings complaint template. United States Bankruptcy Court for the blank district of blank, you're just going to fill in this information for the location where you're at. And then it's going to be the plaintiff or the debtor versus U.S. Department of Education. You're going to list your loan servicer or the private lender, and then that's where you list your defendants. And then, it just explain what it says. So, complaint to determine dischargeability of student loan debts. 1, jurisdiction and venue. The court has jurisdiction over 28 U.S.C. 1334 and 157. This is a court proceeding under 28 U.S.C. 157 B21. Venue is proper under 28 U.S.C. 1409. 2, parties. Plaintiff is the debtor in the underlying bankruptcy case. 5, defendant, U.S. Department of Education is a federal agency administering student loan programs. Defendant blank is a loan servicer or lender asserting rights to collect or report the debt. 3, fact background. Plaintiff incurs student loan obligations for educational purposes. The loans are governed by 11 U.S.C. 523A8. 9, the plaintiff is unable to repay the loans without undue hardships. 10, plaintiff financial condition is reflected in the bankruptcy schedules and exhibits. 4, undue hardships, the Burner test. A minimum standard of living. 11, plaintiff income is insufficient to maintain a minimum standard of living while repaying the loans. 12, necessary expenses include housing, utilities, food, transportation, medical care, and dependents. B, persistence of hardships. 13, plaintiff hardship is expected to persist due to medical condition or disability, limited earning capacity, age or employment limitations, dependents or caregiving responsibilities. Okay. C, good faith efforts. Number 14, plaintiffs have made good faith efforts to repay, including income-driven repayments, deferment or forbearance, communication with servicers. 15, repayment remains impossible without undue hardships. 5, Department of Education guidance. 16, the Department of Education supports discharge where undue hardship is established. 17, the plaintiff has provided or will provide financial disclosures consistent with this guidance. 6, relief requested. Wherefore, plaintiff requests the court A, to declare the student loan debt dischargeable, B, grant full or partial discharge, C, enjoin for the collection, D, order correction of credit reporting, or E, grant further relief as justice requires. Respectfully submitted, the debtor pro se, which means that you're just representing yourself. You're going to put your address, your phone number, and your email. Step 7, service. Which is this is part is critical. You must properly serve the United States. You have to serve them, yourself, or you can have them to serve them, but you will have to serve them. You must serve the Department of Education, the attorneys, the Attorney General of the United States, and then the loan servicer or the private lender. Service must comply with the Federal Rule of Bankruptcy Procedure 7004. 60, Department of Education review, which is step 8, Department of Education or DOJ evaluation. The Department of Education will review their income, expenses, household size, future earning capacity. They may stipulate to discharge, offer partial relief, or contest the case. Many cases resolve without going to trial. Some court outcomes, number 7, full discharge, partial discharge, modified repayment, or denial. If granted, judgment entered, collection permanently stopped, credit reporting must be corrected. Number 8, post-discharge enforcement. Step 9 will be to enforce the judgment, send judgment to the servicers, monitor your credit reports, dispute inaccurate reporting, file motion for contempt if violated. And here's just the step-by-step checklist for number 9. So you're going to pull your studentaid.gov loan summary. You're going to gather your financial documents. You're going to file the actual bankruptcy case. You're going to draft your adversary complaint, which is just we went over. And then you're going to file the adversary proceeding, which is the additional lawsuit that goes towards the Department of Student Loans and then the servicers. And then you're going to submit your disclosures, attend hearings, obtain judgment, and then you're going to enforce the discharge. Number 10, here's an appendix A that I myself just actually included, which is the affidavit of undue hardships. It's just a sworn statement saying that I should declare under penalty of jury. I am the debtor in the bankruptcy case number whatever. My monthly income is $5,000. My necessary monthly expenses total $7,012. I cannot maintain a minimum standard of living if required to repay my student loans. My hardships will persist due to I would check off medical condition, disability, dependence. And I would do limited employment if it was me. And then 6, I have made good faith efforts to repay or manage my loans. I affirm the above is true and correct. So affidavit is nothing but a sworn statement that you're filling out saying that these statements are true. And is this basically true? So you have it signed and dated. Most times you'll see on affidavits where there would be for a notary to stamp it and notarize it, but in this case you don't have to. This is just me want to throw this in for them to try to make this case a little bit more quicker. But this is it. This is how you would go and get your student loans discharged yourself through bankruptcy. I will drop the link below this video. No, this is not free. You do have to pay for it. So let's go ahead and get these student loans discharged.